We're diving into the story of a military genius who took on the world's greatest power. And she didn't win with a bigger army, she won with a brilliant idea and literally set the sea on fire. Okay, so picture this. It's the 16th century, and there is one single empire that has an absolute stranglehold on the world's oceans. Every major trade route, they control it. At sea, they were seen as completely invincible.
Now, when you're faced with that kind of overwhelming power, most kingdoms just gave up. They surrendered or were simply crushed. But on this one tiny stretch of coast, a single queen was getting ready for a fight. No way was she going to bow.
So that's the big question, right? How on earth did one ruler from a kingdom that was barely a blip on the map make the most powerful navy in the world tremble? Well, that's exactly what we're about to break down.
First things first, we've got to meet the Goliath in this story. We're talking about the Portuguese Empire. In their minds, they weren't just sailors, they were the undisputed rulers of the sea.
And their confidence was, well, it was absolute. This wasn't just them talking tough. This was a deep-seated belief built on decades of just total naval domination. To them, the idea of being defeated at sea wasn't just unlikely. It was basically impossible.
And you know what? They had every reason to be that confident. Their ships were massive, ocean-going fortresses, just bristling with advanced cannons that had unbelievable range and firepower. Local kingdoms had never seen anything like it. They didn't just sail the oceans. They owned them.
All right, so now let's flip the script and meet the David of our story. Let's talk about the queen on the shore. This right here is the port of Alal. To an outsider, it probably just looks like a sleepy little fishing town. But under that calm surface, something was brewing. A storm was quietly waiting for the invaders. And this is her. Rani Abaka Chota, the queen of this tiny coastal kingdom, and the one person who dared to defy an entire empire. She was that storm.
Now, to really get what happens next, you have to understand just how completely stacked the odds were. I mean, it was an impossible mismatch. I mean, look at this. The difference is just staggering. On one side, you have these colossal warships with deadly long-range cannons, and on the other, small, nimble fishing boats armed with, well, with some very unusual close-range weapons. On paper, this isn't even a fight, it's a slaughter.
So this really brings us to the core problem, doesn't it? When you are so completely outgunned in every single way, how do you even begin to fight back? What do you do? And here, this is where the true genius of Rani Abaka comes into play. She knew she couldn't win their war, so she just created a new one, a totally different kind of war. Now this right here is the key to her entire plan. She absolutely knew, she could not match their strength head-on. So instead of trying to build bigger ships, she just watched. She studied her enemy, looking for their hidden weaknesses, not their obvious strengths. And guess what? She found them. Yeah, their ships were powerful, but they were also incredibly slow and clumsy, especially close to the coast. And those cannons? Deadly from a distance, sure, but completely useless up close. Abaka realized that their greatest strengths were also their biggest vulnerabilities. So with that insight, she just flipped the entire rulebook on its head. She reportedly told her people, "We won't fight them like warriors. We will fight them like fire." And let me tell you, that wasn't just a cool-sounding battle cry. It was a complete reinvention of strategy. So this stage was set. The plan was in motion for a massive night attack, and this is where her fiery strategy would be unleashed, turning the sea itself into her greatest weapon. So here's how it all went down. Under the pitch-black cover of night, Abaka's small boats slip silently through the water, closing in on the Portuguese fleet. No war drums, no shouting, just silence. Their weapons weren't cannons or swords. They were carrying flaming bombs made from coconut oil. Abaka waited for that perfect moment of vulnerability, when the massive enemy ships were anchored, their crews asleep. Then she gave the signal, and the entire sea just erupted in flames. The chaos was instantaneous and devastating. Panic ripped through the fleet. The Portuguese sailors were blinded by smoke, trapped on their own slow-burning ships. They had no idea what was happening. The world's mightiest navy just collapsed.
But this whole story isn't just about one incredible, fiery victory. It's really about the legacy of an idea that proved to be unbeatable.
You see, this wasn't a one-time thing. For decades, Rani Abaca used these tactics to fight off the Portuguese, again and again. Now, history tells us she was eventually betrayed and captured, but her spirit never broken. The legend goes that even in chains, she fought her captors until her very last breath.
So what can we pull from all this? What's the hidden insight? Well, conventional war says you fight power with more power. Abaca won with a smarter strategy. It says you have to control the battlefield. She used the battlefield itself as an ally. And ultimately, while everyone else was following the rules of war, Rani Abaca just rewrote them completely.
And that leaves us with a really powerful lesson, doesn't it? Her story proves that real strength isn't just about force, it's about perspective. You don't need to be stronger than your enemy, you just need to think differently.